We're gonna rewind. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome. Oh yeah. Welcome again to another edition here on the Chaos Rain channel. As you know, I go by the name Chaos Rain, as always. Nothing new, nothing less, nothing spectacular. And today we're going to deal with a very interesting examination to what I have come to conclusions or what I've observed now lately, and it needs to be discussed. I'm not sure if this will be triggering. Personally, today's broadcast, I doubt it. But I have to really have this conversation and look at things not on the surface of, but as a whole. So that will be what I'm probably going to go into today. If you're new to the Chaos Rain channel, welcome to all new subscribers and potential future subscribers here in the Chaos Rain channel. And for those that don't know how to subscribe, you know the drill. You hit the red button and you hit the top notification bell for uploads, live streams here on the Chaos Rain channel. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7. And you can now add me on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. And what else? I'm just looking at some stuff. That's crazy. I was looking at some things. And now you could also add me on what we call a Discord. As you know, the link to the Discord servers is on the About section. And what else I'm trying to remember? And I never did tell y'all this. I'm also on Apple, Spotify, Breaker, Google Play, those other outlets. Mostly, if you find the show on podcasting outlets, if you Google it, some of the episodes are there as well. I'm not sure how long ago I've kept it up to date, but there are some episodes that, if you're not familiar with YouTube side of Chaos Rain, you can find on other media outlets. It's not one side thing that you'll find me on. Personally, I think one of the issues that people never understand, if you're going to do broadcasting, media, or etc., it would be wise to branch yourself and spread yourself out as thin as possible. Because staying on one platform, in my opinion, is not enough, personally. And no one that has foresight and is using common sense would see the more bigger picture. But that's just me. But I think for those that want to learn, understand that you gotta spread yourself out at the end of the day. It's good to hang around certain platforms if it suits you. But me, I like to spread myself out as much as possible. I can't speak for the next person, but it will be helpful. So now I'm looking at some things because I'm just looking at every feed right now. Seeing if I I forgot. And one other thing, all previous episodes, if you can go back to replay of some of these streams. These streams are length, they're not short. To let y'all know, I will start doing shorter uploads because I was just testing some waters, and the uploads are kind of fun. I'm not still figuring out how to do the YouTube short yet. That's a little bit more challenging, in my opinion. YouTube shorts. That's something I had to really experiment a little more. but it is a useful tool if you want to get people to see some in less than 5 seconds. It is a good media outlet to use. I'm trying to look at some things. Oh, don't mind me, guys. I'm just looking at examining some things. All right. Let's look here. There you go. And I think one more guy. All right. Another thing, I think people should, if you are doing content, it would be nice to create a mailing list or a mailing traffic list. If you could, if you have one of them accounts, it would be good to use that as well. Because as y'all know how YouTube works, and I feel like I'm a teacher nowadays more than a content creator in a way, but I like to teach as I go, so people have a different broad perspective of things, so they don't get clueless to figure out what they do or what they can do if they're going to use media. Is YouTube only sends on the average, I think 30%. They'll send out notifications out to newer people to see your channel, while the other existing ones, depending on the subscriber, how high they take the subscriber, it's very limited. So, as a side note for those that don't know, and I think that's pretty much it. And make sure you like and share this content as well. So let us begin. Let me find the two articles. And to let y'all know, the subject for today's stream, as y'all know, corporations protect black men. Now, this is something that we could say that we don't really look at or examine, but we have to really look into this a little bit more deeper than it seems, because there are bad people out here. Not only amongst black people, black men, black women, but also other groups of people as well. But for the sake of the conversation, let's say we have black people that's bad amongst our group, that's doing possibly bad things that could harm or cause more turmoil, destruction within the group, within the community. What is it that really protects these certain people that do the things that could be harmful, that people could emulate and do as well, that could cause more havoc and chaos within the community? And this is a question I'm hoping to answer and looking at today. Now, as y'all know, y'all see from the thumbnail, the two proponents we're going to probably examine. One, R. Kelly, and the other one that just recently has been circulating throughout the news, the one they call Miles Bridges. A very young, I believe he's a forward or center, or I would say he's a forward for the Charlotte Hornets. So these are two particularly black men, different generations. One is Generation X and one is Gen Z. And we're going to look at the two. And here's a funny thing. Isn't it ironic? Two different generations, Generation X and Generation Z, that I'm examining. Ain't that funny? That's weird, isn't it? Anyway. It's very, very weird. What's this? Okay. So let me close down the Discord. Kind of want to get distracted. All right, good. So I'm gonna pull up the first look and take. We're always gonna start with the old generation, and we're gonna work away with the new generation. Is that fair? Good, good. So as I find this, I did put it somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. I think I'll look at maybe two articles or one article. Now, I'm not sure many people cover this, and they probably had. But let's look at this deeper. And so I share the screen now. All right. So let's look at this, guys. Robert Kelly. As y'all can see here. And let me look at both ends. Good. I'll put myself right here. Robert Kelly, or what we fondly known as R. Kelly. He has received a sentence to 30 years in prison for federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. And this was posted June the 30th. New York CNN. Disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly was sentenced to 30 years in prison. And it's funny we have Miles Bridges on the side. Ain't that something? He's going to be next. Wednesday, following his conviction last year on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges stemming from his efforts over years to use his fame to ensnare victims he sexually abused. Prosecutors had asked the judge to sentence Kelly to 55 to more than 25 years behind bars, while his defense attorney asked for a 10 or lower or 10 or fewer, saying prosecutors' request was tantamount to a life sentence. And survivors of R. Kelly, or Kelly himself, abused, held hands and prayed as U.S. District Court Judge Anna Donnell began reading his sentence. Kelly, who wore a tan prison uniform, dark-rimmed glasses, and a black mask at the hearing in federal court in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn? Oh, damn, he got sentenced in New York? Oh, that's not good. He shows no emotion. You left in your wake a trail of broken lives. Donnell told Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly. Interesting. And in deciding the sentence, Donnell said she considers Kelly's own traumatic childhood, during which his attorney said he was repeatedly sexually abused by a family member and a landlord. Now, if y'all recall back, was it 3-4 years ago? Right after the Survivor R. Kelly documentary, his brother, one of his younger brothers, came out to I think a podcast, and he revealed his story of what led to his well, he's not as worse as his older brother, but let's say for the sake of argument, that he was also sexually abused as well. And the person that abused him, just like abused Mr. Robert Kelly, was his older sister. Like literally, she has sexually abused him, the youngest of the Kellys. Where, if I can remember, how he was saying, and this is what I can remember, guys, this is a while back, that how his own sister got him to suck and eat his I mean, I didn't want to laugh, but it's just weird. Have him, I guess, eat out his own sister's crutches. And that is as liberal as I'm going to get. I'm going to try to be PG-13 as possible, people, if I can. But mind you, in this channel, we be as raw as we possibly can. We'll try to be colder, but we're going to be raw nonetheless. So don't take this personally or offended. I'm just keeping it real. So, that's what got, and I think because she done it repeatedly, she's the one that broke him into perversions. So if she was able to pervert one of her own brothers, the youngest one, what do you think she has done to R. Kelly, including other people like the landlord and somebody else that took advantage of Mr. Robert Kelly sexually? This will lead to a greater dysfunction where it entices young children to start engage in promiscuous sex, even to the point that they might even start engage in taking the sex, if you know what I mean. You know, molestation, rape, etc. So that what might led to why Mr. Robert Kelly is the man he is now, where he is a sexual, and I mean sexual in a bad way, demon. You heard of Always Demon Time? He is the epitome of that demon time in real life. He's sitting there slinging things into women, and these women love and loathe over R. Kelly, even as far as they will sit there and will, I guess, massage his face and whatever case may be. That's how powerful Robert Kelly is. He is why he calls himself the Pop Piper. He likes to use his musical gift, not the flu, but his voice, to entice young children, especially young girls. Not just black girls, but girls in general. But mostly, from what I'm hearing, he mostly dealt with mostly black girls or young black women. Wherever you want to label it, he has dealt with them and dealt with them hard throughout the years, even up to his adult age. And he has done it so gracefully with a, I like to call a smile on his face. And it's kind of, sick in a way. Very sick. And let's be honest. Because this, he has caused and created more damage than most people could expect from a man like his caliber, And because of his sexual episodes, it led him to where he is now. Life imprisonment. Life imprisonment. And no one is feeling any more in grace than, how can I say it, than the women that were victims of Robert Kelly. And personally, I think it was eventually going to come to this. I think in my mind it took too long, but you know how systems go, unfortunately. But let's keep reading the article, and I give you more of the scoop and take of things. Where was I? Okay. It may excuse, or it may explain, at least in part, what led to your behavior, the judge said. It most certainly is not an excuse. Now, mind you, they will not give you no excuse as a man in the society, especially a black man. They will take full advantage that you know what you're doing, you're wrong, you're a criminal, etc. But they sure hell will give grace to other groups of men, but not your black ass. Ain't that something? And we always thought that racism was over. Nah, baby, it's not. Not anytime soon. They find if you drop a needle in the street, they'll look at you. You caused it. It's your fault. You should know better. They will put you in handcuffs. Anyway, Javante Cunningham, a former backup singer of R. Kelly, praised the sentence. I started this journey 30 years ago, Cunningham said outside the courts after the hearing. There wasn't a day in my life up until the moment that I actually believed that the judicial system would come through for black and brown girls. I stand here very proud of my judicial system, very proud of my fellow survivors, and very pleased with the outcomes. A jury convicted Kelly last September on 9 counts, including 1 charge of racketeering and 8 counts of violation of the Mann Act, a sex trafficking law. Prosecutors from the Eastern District of New York accused Kelly of using his status as a celebrity and a network of people at his disposal to target girls for his own sexual gratification. Now they said boys too, so like Robert Kelly also had his way with boys too. Well, it's not surprising, personally, The 5-week federal trial in Brooklyn include testimonies from witnesses who said they were sexually and physically abused by Kelly. The courts also heard from people involved with orchestrating the disgraced R&B singer in 1994 marriage to the late singer Aaliyah, where she was just 15 years old and he was an adult after she believed she gotten pregnant. Now I'm not sure. It's funny. I've been hearing about that about Aaliyah when she was meeting or dealing with Mr. R. Kelly. That was floating around that she was pregnant. Now, obviously, if she was pregnant, most likely they would have had her. As you know, the Roe v. Wade overturning, but you get the point. She had to the baby. But Kelly's attorney Jennifer Bongine said he would not address the courts, pointing to the other criminal cases facing by Kelly, but said before the sentence was read that her client reject that he is his master, or he is this monster. He accepts that he is flawed individual, Bongine said, but he is not this one-dimensional monster that the government is or has portrayed and the media has portrayed. Kelly made his only comment in response to the judge after Bongine said he wouldn't speak. Yes, Your Honor, that's my wish. Bongine said she advised Kelly not to speak at the sentence because of pending litigations against him, but added he has regretted and he is sad. Nobody wanted to hear what he heard today. And this is another picture of him. And they're very detailed with the pictures, mind you. No one can undo the harm. 1 second, guys. Oh, one thing I forgot to tell you. Make sure you guys like the stream. Hit the like button if you do so kindly. Make sure you guys like the stream. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Okay. No one can undo the harm. Prior to sentencing, the court heard impact sentence or statements from 7 of Kelly's victims, including Jane Doe 2, who's testified at trial. It's been 23 years since we know each other, and you victimized a lot of girls since then. She said, addressing Kelly. She later added, now it's your turn to have your freedom taken from you. It's like the Revenge of the Body Snatchers, if you think so myself. No one can undo the harm that has been done to these victims. Attorney Gloria Alfred, who represents 3 victims. Hold on a second, guys. All right. Where was I? At least, okay. That at least it's time for R. Kelly to be accountable. No one can undo the harm that has been done by these victims. Attorney Gloria Alfred, who represents 3 victims who testified, told reporters Wednesday outside the courts, but at least it's time for Mr. Kelly to be accountable. Defense attorney and prosecutor argues Wednesday in court over whether Kelly even could pay a fine. Now, mind y'all, listen good. It's going to lead to a bigger segment. Was Robert Kelly really broke before or after these things were starting to come down on him? What I understand is because Mr. Robert Kelly, he can't read. I'm not sure if he's still illiterate personally. Like most or certain, or actually a good portion of black men in the society, depending on where you come from. The illiteracy rate of black men is very high. I'm aware of this. And most of your idols that if you really pay attention, a lot of them or a good portion of them fall under the same boat like the normal black men in America, personally. And there are ways to improve literacy, personally. It's something you have to work on. It's something you have to make a dedication. And like always, you have to start from square one. What you're not strong in, you always got to go back to the basics. And it's not something to make fun of or joke of, but because this is a problem for black people in America, especially black men or young black boys that will become men, this is something that has to be resolved and slowly repaired. I can't say fixed because fix some could break some. So this has to be repaired one way or the other. And there has to be real remedies to really solve that little problem. Because in the 21st century, you cannot afford as a man in the modern, high, now moving to transition to technical age to be illiterate. You cannot be illiterate in this environment. You get buried in this environment now. Because everything requires you to understand not only the written word, but how to use it effectively enough. Personally. So that's something that I want people to really keep an eye out. Anyway, let's keep going. Where was I? The defense said he is pretty close to indigence and could not. Prosecutors disagree, saying money from the sales of some of his music rights and millions of dollars in royalties held by Sony could cover any fine. But the question is, and this is very much important, is Sony going to really cover Mr. Robert Kelly at this point, or even for the last couple years? Should be the biggest question we should ask ourselves. In the 9 months since his conviction, Kelly has replaced his entire legal team with Bongine and her firm. Bongine is the attorney who helped Bill Cosby get his sexual assault convictions overturned and also represents Cosby in a civil case he lost this month at trial. Ouch. Yeah, I heard about that. He had to pay this one woman like almost $1 million or close to it. We weren't prepared for it. Bongine said of the sentence outside the court, we are now prepared to fight this appeal. Kelly is being held at a federal detention faculty in Brooklyn and expected to be moved back to Chicago, where he faced another federal trial. And I can't continue to read this. Oh, that's not good. Whew. I heard about he might have to face 2 different trials, but to get 30-year sentence in this part of this state, you're possibly going to be sentenced to even close to almost subpar sentencing in another state, especially how the laws run in Chicago. And, maybe, matter of fact, how much longer is this article? I'm going to continue to read this and help somebody that's from Chicago because that's something I got to ask. Where he faced another federal trial in August for child pornography and obstruction charges. Now, I'm not sure they're talking about the one that he did back in 2001 up to 2004 trial. I'm not sure if that's the one they're talking about. But if they are reopening that case, that's another extra couple more years. And that could be maybe longer, depending on how the charges go with pornographics. Budgen will ask for Kelly to continue to be held at Brooklyn Federal Detention Center as her team prepares for his upcoming trial, she told CNN on Thursday, adding she is based in New York. CNN has sought comments from the U.S. Attorney officials for the Northern District of Illinois and the Bureau of Prisons and U.S. Marshals who would be tasked with moving Kelly. Kelly is also his state case pending in Illinois and Minnesota. Oof. Oh, damn. That's not good. Childhood trauma reveals. In over 14 hours of interviews with psychiatrists, experts, Kelly said his closest relationship is growing up was with his mother. His earliest memories were watching his mom perform as a singer in a band called Six Pack, and he would often accompany her to McDonald's where she would drink coffee and they would share a pastry. Kelly had never met his father and describes his mother's death as the most tragic event of his life, saying he would go to McDonald's frequently to smell the coffee and remember her, according to a letter filed by Renee Sorrento, a clinical assistant and professor at Harvard Medical School. Tell me the M stands for mom, going to McDonald's and always being around my mother, Kelly said. Let me play in Robert's voice. To me, the M stands for mom, going to McDonald's is always being around my mother, Kelly said. But his childhood was also marked by trauma. More pictures of R. Kelly's here. Kelly saw a childhood sweetheart drown when he was a little boy. And people interviewed by psychiatrist experts said Kelly was repeatedly sexually abused beginning when he was at 6 or 7 years old boy. His attorney wrote saying he was abused by his older sister, which I said before, that dirty bitch, and also a landlord at times on a weekly basis. And I'm not sure the landlord is a male or female, but he's 32. Pause for a second. If y'all recall, I said earlier, the youngest brother got sexually abused by the sister. Do you know what age he was when her sister started taking advantage of him? Take a likely guess. 6 years old. So what is it with 6-year-olds with adult people or young adults, whatever, that they're so fascinated of taking the innocence of young black boys? And today the show's not focused on black girls because we all know the issues with sexual abuse with that. But today we're going to focus on Mr. Kelly. What is it with the age of 6 that a lot of people are so fascinated that they want to engage in sexual activities with boys? That's my biggest question I had to ask. I don't think I'm ever going to get an answer for that personally. And it's sad that it has come to this. But like I said before, he has gone through a lot and it's reflected in his behavior towards others. And a side note, when he got out of jail on a bond, was it 2 years ago? Do you know where he went after he got out of jail? He went straight to where? McDonald's. You know why? Because it brings memories of his mother. That is a safe haven for trauma or some of remembrance of something they hold sacred, which is McDonald's. I wonder if R. Kelly has stock in McDonald's. Anyway, let's keep going. Sorrento said in her letter, Kelly's childhood sexual abuse may have contributed to his hypersexuality or difficulties controlling sexual urge, and believed it was a factor in his criminal convictions, which this is true. Hypersexuality. See that? While Kelly was convicted of sexual exploitation of a child, Sorrento refused to diagnose Kelly with pedophilia because he told her his sexual behavior has never involved what they call prepubescent individuals, she said. And it's very rare to find that most people, and let's be honest, because he's so hypersexual, he is going to mess around with other sexual acts and rituals. Example, he'll delve into what we call boy on boy, or what we call homosexuality. And there's things floating through the net that reveals this. They don't talk about this because a lot of things, as you know, is taboo amongst not only celebrities, but certain things in the community we reside. Still, knowing that, everybody is free to come out and express their sexual, I guess, their sexuality now. It still is something that most people hide because unless you don't know, unless they tell you, you will not know. But it does exist, so that y'all know. As you know, back then when the DSM 3 or 4 that came out back in the late 60s, early 70s, it was considered a disorder to be what they call homosexual. They removed that for another bigger agenda, but we're not going to go into the rabbit hole of that. Just let you know that, it is now you could express yourself now than you were 30 or 40 years ago, or for the last 20 years ago. I can't keep up the dates on that regards, but let's keep going. While Kelly was convicted of sexual exploitations of a child, Sorrento refused to diagnose Kelly with pedophilia because blah, 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 yeah, we know that already. Faith, another woman who testified at Kelly's trial, countered that defense argument Wednesday in her victim impact statement, saying her own father had also been sexually abused as a child, but never, molested me or took advantage of her. Support for singers. Among the letters that asked for a shorter sentence for Kelly was one written by Diane Copeland, Kelly, former assistant who testified as a government witness, and said she wrote a letter in support of Kelly because it was the right thing to do. Okay. God doesn't want us to throw humans away, Copeland wrote. If we have to, or we have the audacity to care for the preparation, or what do you call predators, as well as the victims, we can all rise. Maybe. I don't know about that because I don't respect predators, but I don't know why. Yeah. No story. Josie Savage, who was considered a victim of Kelly by prosecutors, also remained a supporter. Robert and I are deeply in love, and it breaks my heart that the government has created a narrative that I'm a victim of. Savage wrote, I'm a grown woman and I can't speak for myself, which is why I want to provide this letter to the courts. In her letter, Savage revealed she is now engaged to Kelly. Ooh, I didn't know that. Prosecutors faced what they call threats. Ahead of the sentencing, a Chicago man who had attended Kelly's trial in Brooklyn was arrested and charged for making threats against the 3 U.S. attorneys who prosecute Kelly. A copy of his arrest warrant shown. Now, how dumb can you be? You're going to be sitting and fret people because this man has actually been proven to be doing these things and has gotten a real severe sentence. And it's very scary when you find people really defending any person when the evidence is really what's clear from the start. And we can go as far as back in the mid-90s up to 2000, up to now. The timelines. The time when he married Aaliyah, but she was underage. That's been proven. And there was a black woman that helped forge that paperwork to make that happen, which I was very disappointed. But, some people need the money. To the point where he did a sex tape back in the early 2000s, which last time I checked, if anybody still has the actual copy, have watched it. And they could tell right the bat that was Kelly. And one time, the younger brother, they wanted the younger brother to take the bid and say it was him so he could take the full extent of the law back over 20 years ago. And he refused. And he should refuse because that's how you going to throw your own younger brother in the bus for, I guess, 15 or 20 to life over your actions. That's not holding up your end of our responsibility as a man. But because you up here, you don't want to be locked up and feel that you're not going to do no more music, which really, truly, in my opinion, personally, it's like the same scenario with like Whitney Houston or any other artists that don't write their own material, but just sing. You know how problematic that is when you only good thing is your voice, but you don't do anything else throughout your career? Case in point, the video I did with Barry White about what is coming online. If you go back to that interview he had with that man back in 1983, he said personally that he didn't learn surf bass, but as he come and go, he developed to learn anyway, making him a very evolved man. He evolved through what he was back in the early 60s up to a real prolific musical artist. But the only reason why he was able to attain what he did because he had to put in the work and had to be more than what if. He had to be multifaceted. He had to learn how to play the music, the drums, the instrument, and know how to write. He did not really got all of that last time I checked during the early stages of his career, because if you go back to that interview of Barry White, he said he started off as a clapper. He went from clapping to learn to play instruments, to learn to write music, to learn to sing. How many artists today you could say right now in the 21st century could do that? Come from where they're at and evolve up to the artists they are now. Leave your comments, which I would like to see and hear from you. If you can name a few artists that came like Barry White in the modern era, not saying for the last 40 or 50 years. I'm talking about for the last 30 years. If you could name that, just name it. That's all I gotta say. Just look it up and name it for yourself and do the research. Now, Christopher Gunn was arrested Saturday for alleged posting threats to kill or seriously injure the female prosecutors. According to the arrest warrants, Gunn posted videos to his YouTube channel in October, shortly after Kelly was found guilty. That shows an image of the U.S. Attorney Office for the Eastern District of New York, where the women work. Prosecutors believe a voice narrative, and the video is Gunn, and he says that where they at, that's where they work at. We're going to storm the office and say each of the three prosecutors' names. If you ain't got the stomach for this ish we about to do, I'm asking that you just bail out, he alleged said in the video. Prosecutors also analyzed Cash App's accounts like Gunn that shows multiple transactions. February 26, 2021. We talked about the thing about the transaction, the digital transactions. You are being monitored. See that? They monitor, and mind you, they did not start putting some serious regulations on how much money you get from an instant transaction where you have to report that. June the 1st, that indicates Gunn engaged in the sale of firearms, ammunition, and relations to the Kelly matters. They said transactions include payments for 20 with descriptions saying 30 rounds. Free R. Kelly. CNN has reached out to attorney for Kelly for comment. Prosecutors believe Gunn was planning to attend Kelly's sentence on Wednesday after he posted another video saying he had a spot for supporters to meet up near the courthouse. CNN has reached out on attorneys for Gunn, who is expected to have detention hearings Friday, and sessions have been scheduled for Wednesday. That is it for this article, and I will put this in the description. That's Robert Kelly for y'all. And before I go into the next article, let me see if I can get this brother on, because knowing this is there's two different laws in regards to criminality, and I think the laws are in regards to pornography. That's known in Chicago, and I'm not familiar with Chicago. So let me see if I can get this brother on. Hello, Layer Movement. What's good? What's good? I'm sorry to call you unknown notes. I'm not sure if you're busy, Larry, because actually I have questions, and I'm also live on YouTube. I read the Robert Kelly thing that he got sentenced to 30 years, but that's in the state of New York. What charge he'll get in the state of Chicago with the pornographic?
Can't give him. They can't really give him a charge for that because that's double jeopardy.
So I'm reading that they now going to go back to Chicago about give him some more charges, and they say that it's already was resolved back in was it 2006, 2004?
It was a long time ago.
That's almost 18. Yeah, I was right, 18 years ago. So, in my opinion, if they're really going to go back to Chicago to reopen that, they're breaking their own laws of double jeopardy. You can't do that.
They're trying to set it up as if it's not double jeopardy, but it is, It was like they found more tapes, but they said they found more tapes like 15 years later, but the same tapes were the same, but the tapes, from my understanding, were the same tapes.
Interesting.
So,
well, that's a funny scenario. And I know I don't want to be racist, but we gotta be honest. If it was another group of men, it would not be wasted time. This going back to something that was already resolved almost a generation ago. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
But they'll do this to us because I think I think something special about the Negro that these people just want to just get at, like something special about black men. I just can't put my finger on it. It's like we say we joke about say men are the prize. I think black men are the prize, bro. Personally, bro. I just can't say man anything better than this. And don't get me wrong, R. Kelly deserves what he gets, people. But the amount of the things they going back now in time, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if he deserves this. Because what people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Racketeering is a RICO charge. You can't. How many RICO charges where only one person went to jail?
I don't know. I never looked into racketeering, bro.
That's what people keep talking about. It's a sexual charge, but really, they got him for racketeering and sex trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
So racketeering is a RICO charge. So you got to have so that's like a conspiracy type charge. So you got to have a group of people involved in it.
Okay.
And the what you call that? What's the other one? The sex trafficking.
Yeah, sex trafficking. That's what I call it.
He's not a pimp. It's not like he's receiving money from doing this.
Yeah, no.
So it's like, okay, this is starting to get weird because at some point this is not going to go well.
Yeah, I look at it personally that I'm not sure if the labels are just discarding him personally because they can't make much money off certain people after they show their usefulness, and they've been monitoring and keeping up with a lot of these behaviors personally, bro. And I think that like anything, if you're not valuable to these people, these labels, they just go and say we're going to find ways just to discard you and just wash you away, since I can't make nothing. And if you're trying to ask for something in return and you're not bringing me no value, I have all these things lined up for you that what you've been doing. Can we keep a tabs on what your activities are?
You know what? This might be interesting. Let me see what this is. No, because I'm not really for the conspiracy thing.
I get you. Yeah, I try to stay away from it because people they get spooked, and I don't want to get people spooked.
Yeah, but
yeah.
His albums.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I think the last album he released was like 2009.
Yeah, but like probably his is coming to an end.
Like now, or was last year?
Well, I'm talking about the masters of it.
Okay.
Because his first album was with him and Public Announcement. So that was 92. So it was 92, 93, 95, 98.
Okay.
2000 and maybe 2000. No. Yeah. Shoot. Well, he's got like 10 more years.
Okay.
I think, if that's the case.
Okay.
He's got like 10 more years. Or maybe not. Depending on which album was counted. But, because, and you know, after 30 years, you get your masters back from the last album you done.
But that's now, because the first album came out in 1992, right?
Yeah, but...
So that's the time now. It's now 30 years.
No, that's what, if it was fair, yes, but what they do is, unless he had a whole type contract where what they do is you sign a deal, say you sign a 6-album deal.
Yep.
Your master starts from when your 6th album is turned in. That's when your 30 years starts. But if they that way, if he was able to do it that way, yeah, the first album would definitely, he would start getting the money from his masters because it's going to be coming sooner before later.
Interesting. Very interesting. This is some new information. And they have to give him his masters after the obligation of the contract. They have to give it to him. He don't have to pay for that to get that back.
No, get them back after 30 years. That's why you see artists recently selling their masters. They got their masters back. Sometimes you can buy them back. You know, you can purchase them, this, that, and third. Sometimes they hold them forever. So he may have some of them, maybe not all of them, but he may have some of them already.
Yeah.
But, you know, like he's broke, so I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries to leverage he's considered to be broke.
Well, that's what it said right now, that Sony are the only ones, right, that could pay for all the legal things right now, but I don't hear no talks about them really covering him right now over this. And to be honest with you, if it's something that's fighting over the rights of the masters, we all know that there's very few artists. If you remember Justin Timberlake, he just sold his masters. And I got that from Slide, right? I didn't watch it, but he posted it. So I'm thinking, is it really worth a lot of these artists, especially black ones, to really hang on to some of these masters or get them back at this time now? That most of the other artists that's been doing music longer than these cats do said keeping it. Is it really worth the value now, personally?
Well, even after you sell them, you get them back after 30 years.
Okay.
So basically what people are doing is getting their masters back, selling them for another 30 years for a certain amount of money. And then getting them
that's smart. That's smart. But you had to find a buyer who really wanted to take the masters.
Right.
That's going to be challenging, personally, bro. Because they look at it and say, all right, this album, how much is sold back then? You know what I'm saying? How popular was it? Can I make my money in return buying this from you? Now, someone like a Justin Timberlake, if he sells his masters, yeah, they can make money off that. You get me? Someone like Snoop, because Snoop, if you know, Snoop owns Death Row, which now I think he now got control of his first album.
Right.
So we always gotta look at the value in return. If you go and buy it back and sell back in the market, who's willing to buy the masters? You get me? Depending on the notoriety of the artist. Now, if Jay-Z, let's say, got control of his first album, right? He could actually leverage and sell that back to the market, and somebody will buy it.
He's got it back.
You sure? I thought Dame Dash him like, you know, something with that first album.
No, that was an ETF thing.
Okay.
He already has that. He kind of did something differently along the way. Like what he did was he came out with one album on Priority, I believe, and he said he was going to retire. He was going to do a one and quit, and then he took that and leveraged it to basically a distribution deal with Def Jam.
Okay.
So he went from an artist to basically a label.
Okay.
In a sense. I think there was already a label in a sense because Priority was doing label deals at the time, or distribution deals, because that's what Master P had. His huge distribution deal was with Priority.
Yeah, well, I look at Master P and he got a doctorate last year, which is a good thing. Yeah, the man's a businessman, Master P. He knows how to move more than most of these cats. Personally, I mean, I say a lot of them are not intellectually knowing how to do it. They're just lazy. You get me? This is a business, you know. You can't just sign and do things like even these young artists like the Meg Thee Stallions, all these one that's complaining about their contracts. I said, sweetie, you jump into this because you want to make the fast money. You're not looking into the longer implications of your decisions. You know what I'm saying? And this is where they take a lot of advantage of our young youth now that wants to be labels to these record companies. You know?
Yeah, but when you don't have, when you're poor, you're gonna take a deal. It looks better than what you got going on. So
I mean, I know that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Charlie's situation is gonna get interesting because it's not necessarily. It's not like I don't know if you noticed that like Tasha K did an interview and his brother came out and said he was lying on his brother because he was mad at him.
Is this a updated interview? I remember he did an interview.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta find that. Okay, I'll look for that.
Now he's like, he didn't know it was gonna get this bad, but he's saying now he lied on him. It's like the trial that you're talking about, the one in New York.
Yeah.
Two of the people who said he was messing with them were two dudes.
All right.
Have you ever heard of Eric R. Kelly ever messing with dudes?
No, man. I heard that he might have entertained something like that, but no one really came out and said, me and R. Kelly are in a relationship. Like we're lovers. No one has came out with that yet.
Right. So now two people testified that he was sleeping with them.
Really?
In the trial that just got him 30 years in New York. So like stuff like that is like if you got two witnesses on the stand and they're guys saying that he was messing with them, it'd be like it's not necessarily believable with certain people. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's been in the closet this whole time. You're gonna say he likes young girls, that's one thing, but now he likes boys too. Like
yeah, they're pushing. You know what I'm saying? But it comes with the territory, personally, bro. Because now that they're burying him, they said we gotta bury him deeper. How I look at it, to destroy more of his little reputation. That's how I see it,
Yeah, you can bury him deeper, but if you put too much sauce on it, you bury yourself.
I mean,
I don't think he's gonna be in jail for maybe 3 years, 4 years. Max.
I mean, if that's in my opinion, because 30 years, some said they should be sentenced to 55 years, but I don't remember sentencing that long in the last couple decades. But 30 years, I mean, it's reasonable. Personally, I mean, like I said, I'm not an R. Kelly fan, but we know if you get in jail for 30, most likely you're doing less than half of that, because you're gonna be eligible for parole, personally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like I'm not saying like people could say like the man's a sexual deviant, like he's had a lot of sex. You can definitely say that. But you got people forget after that whole first trial, he made sure he was dealing with people who were like at least 21 and up.
Okay.
When he got traded in Atlanta, this is where part of this started. They tried to get for the same thing, but everybody in the house was 21 and up.
Oh yeah.
So this is the group you're talking about that they're talking about. That so it went from him messing with minors to him trafficking now because he got a house full of women. But if he's not pimping, so he not trafficking. You sleep with a bunch of chicks in the house. You get them money, but he's not trafficking. So what they call a trafficking is basically he's not married. He got a gang of girls, and he travels with some of them.
Yeah.
So if you travel, if they're in the house with him here, and he take 2, 3, 4, 5 of them to a performance or to an award show or this, that, and the third. He had sex with him in his room or in the hotel there. All of a sudden, now that's trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't, that's not really going to go well, because think about it. For all the young ladies who like to get flown out places,
Yeah.
now you're basically trafficking.
Oh, you're right. You're right. If you get flown out, depending what age you're, that is actually considered trafficking.
No, it's not dependent on the age.
Age?
If
Okay.
you got flown out, that's it.
That's it? Okay. Okay.
It's not because with his situation, it's not that they got flown out and they were 16 years old. No, they were grown and they got flown out.
Okay.
So definitely, you definitely can say it's trafficking. If somebody's like 15, 16 years old and you find her, yeah, that's absolutely trafficking. Okay. Whether you using them for prostitution or not, you're trafficking. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking like, well, he's basically they got people basically saying, oh, I met him at this age, and we started having sex at this age, mm-hmm. and I went to a award show with him. We had sex in the hotel, mm-hmm. and now looking back on it, I feel like I got manipulated. So now it's trafficking.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So he's guilty for now. I don't know if this stuff is gonna stick. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's gonna stick.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, man. This is very informative, Lair. I mean, I appreciate you giving me this scoop, man. And honestly, like I said, I'm just reading what's left here, and I don't know much about certain states because, like I said, I talked to people that because you were from Chicago, now you're in some different state.
Yeah, the legal at Chicago is 17.
Yeah.
So, people, I'm not saying it's cool, mm-hmm. but yeah, you can date a high school girl mm-hmm. if she's 17, 18 years old in Chicago, and that'd be legal. Same thing is in Texas. Mm-hmm. I think in some states it's like 16.
Okay.
Because that's the age of consent.
Okay.
So, what you're having is there are some of those people who are saying that they met at 16, and now they're saying they had sex with him at 16, or they met him at 17, 18, 19, 20, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But let's just say 17, and mm-hmm. he flew him to another state, and in that state, now it was trafficking because in this state, the legal age of consent is, is a different age. Mm. So it's like you really pushing it.
Yeah, you are pushing it. Yeah,
but in technicality, he could get locked up. His lawyers already told him, it's gonna go this way and it's gonna go that way. Problem really at the end of the day is, I'm not sure because his next trial is a federal trial. Hmm. I'm not sure if they're gonna. If they keep charging him with racketeering and sex trafficking, mm-hmm. they're going to have to arrest other people in his immediate team of management and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So if they start charging those folks, I'm mm-hmm. pretty sure people are gonna stop saying it was a lie, it was this and it was that.
Okay. All right. Well, this is what I'm gonna do later because I gotta continue to read the next article. I'm looking at Miles Bridges situation. Thanks for calling up and giving me insight. You know what I'm saying, I know you have like a streamer upload today, so I'll probably tune into that. All right.
All
right. Thanks. And this layer movement, people. Thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, that was very informative. Very informative. 1 second, people. All right, guys. Now we're going to look into the Miles Bridges situation. And it's sad. It came down to this. Matter of fact, let me do And make sure you likes are free, like always. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't hurt. Let me find it. As I'm trying to pull up the arc links now. Let me close this one. All right. Where is Miles Bridges? Good old Miles Bridges. I think he's a forward or power or small. I think he's a power forward, personally. Very good power forward. He had a breakout year this year, since I mentioned the brother. And this one right here, this was probably disturbing. And really, I'm probably going to use one article on this because there are multiple sources right now. They got I think it's the Shade Room or some other stupid media outlets which I don't pay attention to. But this one we're going to look at is the sports news. One. And mind you, I am Pat William. Miss Pat, if you want, I could probably drop a link and have your take on it. Will you be so kind to come up, Miss Pat? Let me know. All right. Miles Bridges. All right, Mr. Miles Bridges. See that here? Close that. We don't need that. Miles Bridges, partner of Michelle Johnson, shared Instagram posts with photos of injuries after Hornets forward arrested on domestic violence charges. This happened Friday. Caution, the following article contains graphic images and descriptions of events. The Sport News will continue to monitor the domestic violence investigation and arrest of Hornets for Miles Bridges. Resource and support for anyone of the U.S. affected by domestic violence is available 24/7. Call this number, blah, blah, text, all stuff. And you know what's funny? They never have this for men, ironically, because they always think when we hear about domestic abuse and violence, it's always on the average a man, which it is actually factual. But also women also are just as much as violent and possibly more now in society like the men, unfortunately. I've seen women run cars over men, will take some serious weapons, and even go as far as shoot a man. So let you know it does exist. I'm looking at the chat right now. How you doing? Tell me. I will drop the link. After this article, I'll drop a link. After Hornets free agent for Miles Bridges was arrested in Los Angeles on felony domestic violence charges, his partner, Michelle Johnson, if I pronounce right, shared graphic image in an Instagram post that details the abuse she was suffering. Now, mind you, these pictures are on the internet. There is a viewer discretion will be advised. And like always, as a person, I advocate that we should not be engaged in domestic violence towards each other. It should not be allowed, and it's something that we should be celebrating when one person gets abused by the other. I think it's low vibrational, is animalistic type behavior, and is straight down disgusting to find that you must resort to violence as a couple, rather in a long-term, short-term, or in a marriage to resolve your problems. If you have to resort in physical harm, in my opinion, the relationship should be over right off the bat. And here's why. Physicality should be the last resort of anything else a human takes. It should not be always the first recourse of any action that doesn't go your way. It should be the last action, and it should be in regards to protecting oneself, if need be. Need be. Anything less of that nature, you're a violent person from the start and you need some goddamn therapy. Some real psychiatric therapy. And you need to sit there until you get your unresolved issues resolved. Get them all resolved, personally. All right. So let's go into the article. Though she does not mention Bridges by name in the post, the two reportedly began dating around 2016 and have 2 children together. One other thing. Hold on, guys. Oh, damn it. That was the wrong one. Hold on, let me go find it. I did some wrong, guys. Sorry, let me find the article, guys. I apologize. What the hell am I doing? Where is it? You know, when you click the wrong link, it goes a little bad. All right, I found it. I was just doing some while ago. All right. Let's see if I could get rid of this. All right, let's continue with the article. Within the past, or within the post, Johnson detailed the injuries she had sustained, including a diagnosis from an emergency room visit, diagnosis her with a concussion, closed fracture of the nozzle bone, rib contusions, and strained neck muscle as a result of an assault by strangulation. Oh, damn. Ooh, whoa, this man was choking the hell out of this. Whoa. Man, Mr. Bridge, Miles, you're too strong for that. You should not be putting a woman in the chokehold, man. And I'm not talking about the sleeper hold either. He actually take his hands and wrap around this woman's neck. We gotta do better as people. Black men, if you have issues, please, you gotta do better. You gotta do better. We should not be finding scenarios where you sit there and you actually strangle your wife to almost death. I mean, we gotta do better. I hate that it has to come to this, but I can't be silent anymore. Johnson wrote, I'm allowed someone to destroy my home, abuse me in every way possible, and traumatize our kids for life. I don't know, man. Should I see this? Let me see if it will show. Hold on, guys. Okay, it's a black screen. I guess it will not Oh, I'm sorry. I had my mic on mute. I apologize. Sorry, guys. Oh, damn. I didn't know that. Okay, let's go back. Maybe I should have said something. Oh, well. In the state of California, felony domestic violence is a domestic crime committed with aggravated factors, which include violence resulting in bodily injury. Following his arrest, Bridges was released on a $130K bond, according to police records. A court date has been scheduled for July 20th. Complete coverage and comprehensive details surrounding Bridges' arrest can be found here. Charlotte Hornets statements followed the initial news of Bridges' arrest on Thursday. The Hornets released the following statement. The Charlotte Hornets are aware of the situation involving Miles Bridges. We are in the process of gathering additional information. We will have no further comment at this time. Miles Bridges' statement, he has not left a statement. And if I did not show the pictures, let me look at them first before I even waste time show this. I don't like to show this stuff. Matter of fact, I will show one picture. And that's the only thing I'm going to show. So you can see the depths of the injury. Because this is something, a learning thing. That you as a man in this society, you will be held accountable regardless of these women's actions. And I know it's hurt, it's rough. I don't want to go into this. But the minute you, out of the blue, and let's be honest, always intimate violence is always a two-way street. I get it. I understand it. But I say this to all young black men, not older black men, but young black men. If you're dealing with an abusive chick and she has the authority and audacity to put hands on your big ass, you better off just leave the relationship over and then sign your walk papers and keep pushing. Because one thing is evident. You only have one life and one life to live. And no woman, I don't care what age she is, should have the authority to put her hands on you for whatever reason, whatever emotional reason. Now, she's going to use her lip and cuss you out. And that's unfortunately normal. Because women, their tongue is as sharp as a sword. And we always try to avoid the sharp sword of, people. But we have to come to maturity to understand that once she used that mouth, and not in a sexual way, but use her mouth, it can be either upliftment or detriment to your black behind. So know the signs and move accordingly. So now, wait, before I share this, let me find, okay. I'm going to go back to the black screen. And mind you, this woman is a non-black woman, which is another problem, but, it is what it is. Let's do this. Share screen. All right. As y'all can see, only one picture you will see. This is the injury she received. You see the cuts and bruise, and you might see maybe something around the neck, but this is the extent of the injury she suffered. And there's more pictures, but that's just only the glimpse of it. What's good, Alonzo? There are more. She has, like I said, the rib issue, the arm, etc. And that article I will drop as well. And there's many more articles, people. There's many more. Miss Pat, if you're in the stream, if you're going to come up, please just do a quick cam and wave so I know it's you, if possible. Thank you. Okay. All right. Excellent. I finished you taking. All right. So now I'm going to open the floor for people's reactions and their take on the stories or whatever's on your mind. I prefer it be on the topic if possible. If anything else that's different, divert from what is being said, keep it in context of the stream as possible. All right. So as I I forgot to do this, but I'm gonna do this. Look and see if anybody has access to the stream. Let's take a look. Oh, fuck, wrong one. I don't know. I got rid of it. Hold on, guys. I was like doing this. One second. All right, here we go. Miss Pat, you there?
I'm here. How you doing, Chaos?
I know. Welcome to the customer stream. Make sure you guys hit the like stream, hit the like button as I come in. Hit the like button, please. Thank you. So, Miss Pat, I know you missed the first article, but have you how far have you listened to the stream so far to give take?
Yeah, no, I pretty much caught all of it except that part where you were muted and you didn't know that you were muted. So yes, I caught it all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, anytime if I'm silent, if people in the chat will say, you're muted, if possible, I would appreciate it, because sometimes, when I have a lot of things around, so don't mind it. But let's continue on. The floor is yours. Give your take.
Okay, so Chaos, thank you so much, and also happy holiday weekend. You know what? I think this is a topic that really needs to be addressed. I'm glad that you are addressing it, and I'm glad that Amiri, opens up the floor for these type of discussions, because you mentioned a couple of levels with this Miles Bridges case. And then, of course, I know you guys are also looking at R. Kelly, but I feel we could throw Bill Cosby in there. Listen, I get it. I get it. Right now, and this will be within context, but, we understand that there's been another horrific shooting of a young Black male. And so I think what's happening is, I think in our community, because of the historic human atrocities that have been leveled, at Black people in general, male and female, but I think we've seen the open harassment and vitriol leveled against our Black men, right? Because in one sense, males will face the higher level of vitriol, right? Because people are more intimidated by the males, and that's true in every group, every class. People are less intimidated by females just because of, the biological aspects of that, the anatomic aspects of that. But I think what we've done in Black community, we are overcorrecting. So whereas we know that, our Black boys are more likely to be targeted, by racial acts. We know that our Black men are more likely to be targeted, in economic situations. I think as a community and having an empathy towards that, and I say this is true for male and female, we are overcorrecting. So as opposed to looking at our men, where sometimes some of them are very disturbed and dastardly individuals, we'll kind of wink an eye at that. We'll say, well, yeah, R. Kelly, but, he was messed with, and, he's a great singer and he's the king of R&B. And, we'll give those guys passes. Bill Cosby, he was America's Black dad, and how do we know these women ain't lying? And they waited 30 years and 20 years and 15. Miles Bridges, but she was running her mouth, and sometimes these women are putting their hands on men. So I think we come with all of these, I don't want to say excuses, because those things are real too, right?
Yes,
so
correct.
But I would say sometimes we're trying to overcorrect, and that I think is not good, because a lot of times two things can be true at the same time. Do you know what I mean, Chaos? It can be true that our Black men are being targeted and being maligned and marginalized, and we need to deal with that. But it can also be true that some of our men are predators, some of our men are abusers, some of our men are disingenuous, and we need to deal with that. And I think that in our community, we have this horrible way of trying to, we go to extremes one way or the other, right? So we're overcorrecting by saying, well, we'll wink at those things that we really shouldn't, because racism is happening. And both of those things need to be addressed simultaneous. That's my truest take on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Miss Pat, because I did said in earlier, or I just said recently, that I don't advocate and look at domestic violence as one sided, but I
Mhm.
know the problems with our community that there are certain things that we just don't walk away once we find that any intimate partner starts to resolve issues in regards to physicality.
Mhm.
That is the greatest red flag any person should know. Is that once anything has to lead to the physical aspects of dealing with simple or complex problems, that's where you know you have to, let's say, hit the gas and hit go.
Right. Right.
It's
But
time
you
to
know
go.
what though? But you know what, Chaos? I'm going to tell you why I think that is. It's because
Mhm.
now we got to go to a historical aspect of this. You know, we are a very traumatized community, and
Mhm.
so it takes a lot of self awareness. And I
Mhm.
think we have normalized certain abuses, certain aspects of what I'm basically saying is that most of us, including myself, I'm working on it. I've gone through therapy. I believe in prayer. I believe in therapy. And I think it takes self awareness to understand why most of us, we have normalized and become comfortable with domestic violence, things that we think are just normal, someone yelling at you or cussing at you or throwing things. These things are not normal. And when you don't have healthy conflict resolution skills, those things can look normal. They can actually look like love. Do you know what I'm saying, Chaos?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times people will say, oh, well, that's because we're passionate. The couple is passionate. She'll put her hands on him and he'll put his hands on her, or he'll cuss her out. She'll cuss him out. And I think we in our community, we've seen that. We've all seen the couple, the crack couple, the drunk couple, or the fighting couple on the street. And a lot of times we have made that become a symbol of, well, they love hard, right? They're
Mhm.
full of passion. As opposed to saying, no, this is a couple that's truly dysfunctional. And if they don't
Mhm.
completely need to get away from each other, they certainly need a lot of help and therapy. And so we have to unnormalize a lot of these behaviors that lead to domestic violence. At the end of the day, once you become an adult, you ought to be able to express yourself with maturity, with tact. Yes, be angry, but I'm like that scripture, be angry and sin not. I ought to be able to, be angry with my boyfriend or my husband and not resort to physically putting my hands on him and vice versa.
Well, let's look at this. For the last generation now, and I would say over 20 years now, what you notice in Miss Pat is the rise of technology in its infancy to almost reaching close to adult age now at this present day within the 21st century, first 20 years in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand that one of the dangers of a first world country that's now heavily influenced with technology, it is creating more mental problems and creating more of a social how to say this, it's creating more socially awkward people that's more antisocial more than ever. If you were
Mm-hmm.
not raised in a certain era up to this point, and remember, Bridges is a Gen Z, so he was group more of dealing with technology and in the early stage of antisocialism, like you and me, possibly. And some of
Mm-hmm.
us we fall subject to because we're now into texting and all stuff. These lead to social, what they call uh, uh, non-communication, and you're not able to practice how to communicate effectively. I heard this on a woman's channel how most black people, we don't know how to resolve issues because we don't know how to communicate. I
Mm-hmm.
get it. Well, imagine now times 20 in a
Mm.
environment and with technology now. You don't have the skill. So now you don't know how to handle things properly because you're not always going through things verbally. You are taking the nonverbal approach, which now
Mm-hmm.
leads to the hands and fists being laid on each other. Even to the point where we should not be celebrating either side putting hands to each other because it's a dangerous territory. I don't
Right.
give a crap how people say a man can restrain. No man's gonna restrain himself long dealing with any woman that is that violent. I don't
That's
care how
right.
good he is. Same thing with a woman. She's not gonna deal with a man that's physically violent, and she's not gonna push back and throw hot grease and all that stuff. we have to handle our situation more constructively with
Uh-huh.
more reasonable solutions. Physicality, like I said earlier, it should be the final result if everything else fails, especially if your life depends on it. If you resort to that as the first resource,
Uh-huh.
you're tipping into animalistic behaviors.
Right.
And
Right.
we gotta move beyond animalistic behaviors because we are so-called humans and we should be more not only civil but uncivil when the time needs to be. It should
Right.
be a balance. And we have not developed that as human slash species now in the 21st century. So what you see now is we have things put in place like shelters, hotlines to deal with things that really should have been really handled during the development stage of a lot of these younger people that become adults.
Uh-huh. That's
But
it.
because society doesn't see emphasis, they feel we're going to let you adapt to this environment, and if it goes wrong, I got the paddy wagon to pick you up or do some worse.
That's right, Chaos.
That is unethical, and that is not going to go well in the long term. Especially the rise of a lot of awkward people. We hear about the incels, and we can now put in femcells now. That was going
Uh-huh.
to bring more dysfunction in our groups, in our communities that don't need to be more
Absolutely.
dysfunction. So Miss Pat, any last words? Because I might
Yeah.
have to close this.
Yes, absolutely. So what I would like to add, I think, Chaos, you, again, spot on the money. And I think the fact that you raised the issue about technology, you're right. We're becoming less and less connected as human beings. And you're right, there's becoming more and more. Listen, I'm Generation X, okay? I'm
Mhm.
48 years old. So I'm that generation that I remember a lot of the old school ways, the boomer and silent generation ways, and then I'm seeing millennials, Gen Z, Gen Y. So I'm right there truly in the middle, right? And I can see it 50-50. And you hit it spot on where the technology is making people resort to more visceral and more primal instincts, right? Because when you start getting away from humanity, your humanity, the things that make you human, the ability to talk and to discuss. I mean, even right here on this platform, and I appreciate the platform that you and Amiri provide. But
Mhm.
many nights I'm listening to you guys, and I can tell the people who have excellent conflict resolution skills, and I can
Mhm.
tell the people who it's almost like you're hearing people who are 5 years old, that they don't have the self control to hear somebody out, disagree, dislike it, dissent, in a positive way. It resorts to someone getting cussed out or your mama this, and you know what I mean? And I think, but again, I think in terms of our community, just to wrap it up, I believe we have, like you said, we have normalized that. And I agree. I think it's increasingly getting worse because of, the virtual reality and the lack of human communication. And so, hopefully we can stem the tide, but you're right. Where do we begin on that chaos? That I
Mhm.
guess it has to start, with your parenting, and then that opens up a whole other story of for discussion.
Mhm. Yes, yes. I hope to hear from you again soon, either on this channel or back at Mary.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely,
Zach,
Chaos. It's always my pleasure.
all right, good. Take care, Miss Pat. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, cool. Yeah, that was Miss Pat. Love Miss Pat. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see if I can get one of my brothers on. If not, I'll just wrap this up because I think nobody else has anything to say and nobody else want to come up. That's cool. Boy. Good evening, Mr. Browner. How you doing?
Hello?
How you doing, Mr. Browner? What's good, Mary?
What's up, man?
What's good? You just got up?
Yeah, I'm just now getting up.
Okay. Well, I'll probably let you get back to sleep. I'm live streaming right now. Now I was gonna give you a tape, but you just got up, so I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
interrupt.
Yeah, Green Gorilla emailed
Oh,
me.
hold on. 1 second. So, Alonzo,
What's going on, brother?
Alonzo?
How are you?
What's good?
Yeah.
What's good? How you doing? I'm not sure how long you've been listening to, but what is your take on the two articles or anything in regards to the subject of hand? And mind you, I didn't really put a clear understanding, people, of why corporations protect black men. I'll probably give that as I'm concluding this from my perspective. But go ahead, the floor is yours, Alonzo.
So yeah, actually, I came up to get a little bit of clarity because I literally just came in and at the tail end of Miss Pat speaking. But I see here, I guess we were talking about the situations with a lot of black men having these like DV situations.
Yes.
And in terms of, I guess you're saying like that the black men are protected by the corporations.
Well, it's much deeper than this. Look, for clarity, people, the reason why I say corporations, because these people that are signed to these corporations, labels, etc., they know what the actions these cats are doing on low, and they have to protect them because of their bottom line, especially if they're making money. You get me?
Yeah.
So the whole premise of me revealing these two black men is something that they're not really talking about. As y'all know, we cover so many subjects, but we don't understand how these men are able to get by for a good long time. Now, Miles Bridges, he's still a young player, and he's still on his rookie contract. And I'd put him in the funnel of things because he's not just some average young basketball player. He played very well last season, averaging 27 or whatever in stats. And he's due for a max contract. And because this thing happened, we're not sure if he's going to get that contract or something's going to happen. Now, mind you, he's going to be still playing the league because they can't discard a young dude that has his potential. But in regards to money that he could potentially make is still uncertain because he's married to a woman, a non-black woman, to take it. And she is coming out the dark saying that she cannot hide this no longer. So this has been going on for a while now. You get me? And they're aware of this. Because this has been going on for a while. That means the people that when he got drafted, they know and monitor every move these players make. Watch. You think they're not watching what these players do or what the artists doing? You're sad and mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the background of the things. So, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, to speak to that further, I know that to be an actual fact. I have a friend who was drafted to the Oakland Raiders back in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And he had about a 14-year career. But the thing about it is, yeah, the people, the corporations are going to protect their interests. So they know a lot of the times, a lot of different things that are happening. And what will happen is, in terms of protecting their interests, he'll still get paid, but he won't get a max contract.
Exactly.
But it'll be just under to quote unquote send a message that whatever you do has to be behind closed doors and you keep it under wraps.
Exactly.
There's been a lot of guys, regardless of their race, who, when they become public figures, we're able to clean it up. I mean, in terms of relevance or corporate protection, we can even go as far back as the Janet Jackson Nipplegate incident, which was caused by Justin, whatever his name is.
I think that was 18 years ago. That was 2004. That happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wonder what happened. Janet Jackson took a real serious hit for her career. Did that happen? Now that you mentioned this?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Justin Timberlake didn't, and he the one who pulled the nipple out.
Yeah, that's what I find it alarming. That they blame the woman, but not the dude that actually know what's doing and participate in the act.
Yeah.
But because, remember, he is non-black, it's expected, unfortunately.
This is true. But even in terms of corporate protection from black men, they do remove their hands from black men in a sense. Because if that wasn't Justin Timberlake and it was Usher, Usher would have faced some backlash as well.
Oh yeah, it'd probably be the end of Usher personally.
But I don't think it would have been the end of him because you still have that corporate protection. Just like R. Kelly getting 30 years, it ain't the end of him, right?
Yeah.
It's the end of what we know, but likely he's not going to serve that entire amount of time, number one. Number two, likely because his estate and everything is still going and there's a corporate interest, right?
Mhm.
State attorneys and stuff are getting percentages off of their estate every year. So they want to make sure that it flourishes because they're handling it. So they might release, or because he has to pay restitution, he might release a greatest hits album where all they have is all of the Locked in the Closet mixed with Dance in the Name of Love CD. And it's all digital and NFTs now. But he's still got that corporate protection. People are going to forget, and they still going to spin his songs on the radio.
Okay. Hold on a second.
Uh-huh.
My thing is this, Alonzo, that people got to understand that once you have value and you're in the three categories that black people unfortunately have more of the potential to make a lot of money: entertainment, sports, entertainment stuff, you are pretty much heavily protected depending on what type of artist you are of value. You get me? R. Kelly has been in the music industry since 1992. From Leigh Armour has laid out his albums and his track record for over 30 years. So when the time was about his masters that was coming around, he might have got control of maybe a few masters, but not all of them. And let's be honest, when I look at R. Kelly, is because like most black men that have illiteracy problems, that I know he's not been writing his own music. Most of his works are mostly singing.
Well, that's the thing. He's written so many people. He wrote songs for Michael Jackson.
So I mean, yeah, I heard about that too with Michael Jackson. Yeah, go ahead, listen. Go ahead.
Like I said, he wrote songs for Michael Jackson. He wrote songs for a lot of artists. So if he gets canceled, let's say they just cancel R. Kelly music himself, and we'll never hear another song that he performed. Well, there are massive amounts of songs that he's written and co-written and produced and co-produced that we jam along to. Right?
Oh, so he does write music. So what I'm hearing about saying this man was illiterate. I don't know where I'm getting my information from. I think I'm getting mixed up because that doesn't make no sense. Yeah. Because I heard he produced some of the music.
And he might have been dyslexic, but I don't think he was illiterate.
Yeah, I don't think he was illiterate because there's a certain range of how far you're able to still do things, but you don't have to really be like all the way in. Like literacy goes, it comes and goes. You get me? But if you know just the basics, you could able to write simple words. You get me? Because let's think about it. If you look at most music that R. Kelly writes, it's mostly love music and some jams. That don't take much literacy to write. Now, if you're talking about something that's message and complex, then it takes a little bit more work, personally,
True.
But yeah, that makes sense. So the amount of work this man is making and the royalties that he's supposed to gain back is these corporations are milking him like crazy because, in my opinion, either he was fighting for some or he has no usefulness. Everything was coming out.
We figure if he's locked up now, all the money goes to the lawyers and the and the attorneys and the executives. None of the money goes to him because he's a felon. So all his assets would be frozen.
Exactly. And they're gonna be frozen for a good long time because, like what Leigh Armour said earlier, I called him, right? He said that the one thing with the charge he had in Chicago that they're gonna try to go back into, the double jeopardy charge back in 2001 and 2004, that's double jeopardy. But he said that they might find some other tapes. But if they decide to go that route, and this is me personally, they're breaking the same laws that they put to protect certain citizens about reclassifying, refiling certain cases again.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, if they do this, and I could be wrong, Alonzo, it tells me there's only exceptions to the rule of what they can go back to. And it's going to prove the evidence to a lot of black people, especially men, that if they're able to, then by default, when they said about the things back in slave times to now, you are still 3/5 of human. Because the only way to go back some, you can't be human for them to go back and change the laws or go back to what they said that they can't look back into, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's how I'm seeing it right now. I'm calling it right now. Personally. That's not like a 3/5 of a human. So I tell black men, you gotta get organized, get your stuff together, man. You can't keep playing around this individual mindset in this environment. It's not gonna suit you. This will not suit you. These are mega celebrities, well-known celebrities, especially R. Kelly. What happens to R. Kelly is what happens to any other man, especially other black men, and we're not paying attention, personally. So
what they're telling you is this, that if, like you said, these corporate protected men are able to be railroaded, then they're basically telling you what hope is there for the average Joe, right? So
very little hope. Very little hope. And I could see that the average Joe, depending on how he moves, life in this environment is very uncertain. I'm not saying people should live in fear, but they should always keep in mind that your life in this environment is very uncertain. And it could be uncertain not only in this soil, but outside America. You get me? Because if they view you here differently here, outside you might get some respect, but it's no different at all. Because they know that the last stomping ground is America. All other foreign blacks come here just to get and create a life and take the American dollar or whatever, right? But most black people that's been born, raised, and been here for centuries, that you're an exceptional black man. You're the only one that has not run from anything yet, but that is slowly changing now. From the comments I hear from a lot of content creators, offline and online, person. And I tell people, you don't want to get into that direction as a man. Because now if you start being escapism like other groups of men, black men amongst outside your tribe, then that's when they say, oh, you Negroes are rap. Now you're cowards. Now I could do everything in the full extent because you ain't gonna do nothing.
No fight back.
You're not gonna fight back. You're gonna be a coward. You're gonna be a pussy. So, black man, get your shit together, man. This ain't no joke. So, any last words, Alonzo? I'm gonna call it that.
Yeah, I'm about to call it myself. Thank you for having me up, Chaos. Thank you for, bringing topics to light and at least, bringing different perspectives. And my thing, ladies and gentlemen, when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. I'm out. Salute.
Salute. That's Alonzo Hall. Please subscribe to his channel, Alonzo Hall, the All-Star Advisor, for your credit and for your insurance. And conclusion. Corporations do protect black men because they got to protect their bottom line. End the story. This is the views of the Chaos Reign channel. If you have any other oppositions to what is said, please leave it in the comment section. Also, like this video as well. I'm looking forward to hearing from y'all because I like to be open to hear from different critics of what has been said here or my views on this matter. And then I hold firm on my convictions to let you know, say that, yes, if you are very much a man of what they consider value that's bringing money to the corporations, they will protect you as long as they can. But after they're done with you, man, they are done with you. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the Chaos Reign channel. Hit the red button, top bell for notifications of live streams and uploads here in the Chaos Reign channel. Also, follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7. Add me a friend on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook, and join the Discord of the Chaos. It's all on the About section on the YouTube channel. And that's pretty much it. Like always, thank you for watching, and you know where to find me. Chaos reigns.